Hey everybody, comic crack. So it must be Tuesday, which it is because special sexy lady friend and Ms. Weens there have gone to their mama baby group. So taking a little break. I'm doing an online training course for this job. Hold on, I think you might be a little crooked there. Let's try that. I'm doing this online training course for this job I'm going to. I ship out, as they say, on the 20th, which is next week. And I'll probably be gone at least 3 weeks, maybe a little longer. We'll see. I haven't heard the details yet as far as like what's left to do on the job and how long we're going to be there. But yeah, so I'm off to Saskatchewan. So the little amount that you've seen me the past month, it'll be even less in the next month. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting, but the training right now it's pretty dry. It's just watching videos on like job site safety, construction safety, all these kind of things. WHMIS course, the material handling of hazardous materials and data sheets involved in there. So it seems like it's kind of a nice broad overview, but it's very dry. It's very, very dry watching, indeed. So yeah, that's that update. The show that I was working on is now done, which is good. It was nice. It was a good job and everything, but it's nice to kind of be done. Film work in town here is really dried up, so there's nothing coming. Usually at this point in the year, I've heard about, 20 rumors of stuff coming, and then out of those 5 of them come true kind of deal. There's been 0 rumors. There's been maybe 1 or 2, and out of that there's 1 short film that started and some guys are working on it, but it's going to be a pretty dry summer, which is kind of crummy. So thank goodness for this other opportunity arising just in time. So today is going to be talking about comics. I've been spending the past week or so trying to catch up as best as I can. Right now I'm just rereading Collider, also known as Federal Bureau of Physics. I picked up all the issues up to, I think I'm just missing the very, very newest one. But I think there's 3 issues in there that I haven't read, so since it's been so long, I figured I'll just read the whole damn thing again. I'm enjoying it still quite a bit the second time through. I enjoyed it a lot the first time through, but now kind of revisiting it's kind of nice to refamiliarize myself with the world and stuff. And as it did the first time, the art just really impresses me. The art and coloring in that book really impressed me. And the story, I'm getting a grasp on it. I'm getting a better appreciation of it. I think I'm just starting on the 5th issue right now. So finish that first kind of little story arc. Damn good. So this stack of books beside me, which you can't see because it's off camera, is stuff that I've finished reading. There's a very small pile. There's maybe 3 or 4 titles like of single issues, like Southern Bastards, that I haven't read yet. I haven't caught up on Prophet, so I'm 3 issues behind on that one. I had a look through those as well. Forget about it. That book just really amazes me. If you're not reading Prophet, I highly suggest checking it out. It starts off a little slow, but like I said, I'm not only those 3 issues behind, I'm a couple issues before that behind as well too, so I have to kind of take it all out. It might be a series that I end up just rereading again as well, right from the beginning. Some of the artists that he has on that thing is pretty mind-blowing, and just their different styles and really lending like a small press kind of feel to a little more mainstream image title, is very impressive to be able to blend those worlds in. I think I might have mentioned it in a video before. Robin O'Connell, I think, the guy that started Inkstud's podcast, him and Brandon Graham are out on a whirlwind tour interviewing all sorts of cartoonists and comic book artists and things in the States. They did have a Kickstarter. I believe it's all done. I don't know if it's something that they're kind of continuing through their little tour there to kind of keep generating some income to keep them out on the road as long as possible. So they're going to come back with a whole shit pile of new interviews with all sorts of cartoonists. I haven't really seen a list as far as who they're going to talk to or where they're going, but that should be interesting. So I don't know if Prophet is on a bit of a hiatus or not, or if Graham, because in these last few issues there's so many other artists attached to it, if he kind of finished his little sections and kind of sent off the rest, or how far in advance they plan these books. I don't really know his kind of schedule. So we'll see. And I did hear, as I've said before, that it was coming to an end. I don't know what issue number that's supposed to be. It doesn't seem to be right away anyway, but so if you're into Brandon Graham, just keep your eyes out on that. It'll be cool to hear some interviews. So onto the books that I've read. I'm going kind of in alphabetical order, so there's no kind of rhyme or reason as far as company or anything. So let's just start with Black Science, shall we? Love it and love it. This issue was very cool. I really like when a story kind of takes you along a path of somebody who you believe is the main character, and then one of the other characters, especially in this one, as kind of like the token bad guy or whatever, who I would have expected would just, he'd be a part of the story, but because he's like the token bad guy, I didn't think that his character would play as prominently as he seems to be starting to, especially in this issue. Really, really cool, and I love those kind of twists. It's not that the other main character, I don't want to spoil too much, whatever happens in this book, it's not like that's going to have repercussions as far as that character, because we've already been introduced to different timeline versions, so there will be characters involved. But I'm surprised and happy that this villain is going to take a bit more of a prime role in the whole story. I think that's going to be great to see, possibly maybe a shift from your stereotypical evil corporate dickhead to maybe somebody who has a little bit of a change. I like that idea of following a character and then branching out. It's like, no, this is actually the story that we're going to. We started here, we're going over here, then maybe we'll go over there, and leaves it a little unpredictable. And I mean, what can be said about the art that hasn't been said a million times before? It sucks. It's just the shits. I fucking hate the coloring. It's beautiful. It's unbelievable. So it's a book that I'm gonna keep sticking with. There's no question in my mind. So don't want to talk too much about that. The next is a book that's since the beginning has been highly criticized and really kind of you either love it or you hate it kind of thing, and it's Captain America, one of the other books that Remender is writing. Seriously, how many fucking books is this guy gonna do? So issue 14 and 15 kind of caught me up, and ever since he left Dimension Z, I've been disappointed. I don't like this Nuke character. I don't like the writing in this one as much as I did. I know that it's building towards something, because I know, I'm familiar enough now with Remender to know that if there's a weak issue, in my mind a weak issue, I know that it's kind of a building block to some other pathway. It happened in Frankencastle for me, even though I ended up really liking that book. There was a couple issues that I thought were weaker, and these are definitely the weaker issues. It just seems too stereotypically comic booky and a little too kind of preachy. You don't know what it was like out there for the guys, and you gotta protect your guys, and you don't know what war is, and blah blah blah, and all the hardships of war. Boo fucking who. It just didn't do anything for me. I mean, I read them. Will they stick with me? Nah, probably not. This whole arc hasn't really stuck with me, unless all of a sudden, and like I said, I just have a feeling that that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of stuff that happened in here that all of a sudden there's going to be a turn, and we're going to see exactly where he was going with some of the ideas presented in this book. Yeah, so I'm going to stick with it. because I really enjoy Remender, so I'm gonna stick with it. But those two, not as crazy about. These next two, I didn't fully read. I went through them and just soaked in all the images. I'm gonna have to take it out. It's my number one mission right now to find the first issues, because I only have number 4 and number 5, so it really leaves me at a bit of a deficit as far as the understanding of what the hell is going on and what this world is. I'll tell you what the world is, though. It's an ugly, fucking detailed John Woo type of, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The art really impresses me. It's that highly detailed, quietly esque, Jeff Darrow-ish type of artwork. And the thing that impresses me the most about this, all the motherfuckers in this are ugly and like wrinkly, and their facial features and their expressions, they're all just, they're humans, but it's twisted and grotesque and uber violent. You know, it's crazy. It's really cool. It's really cool. And that's what kind of really draws me to the book. I'm sure that like I said, it's hard to really tell about the story when you're kind of jumping in at 4 and 5. For me, in this one especially, because there's been a whole bunch of build-up before that. But damn, man, it's really something else. I haven't looked too hard yet. The coloring is really nice too. That's the other thing. I mean, look at this guy's face. That's one ugly motherfucker right there. But it's great. I don't know what it is about it. It's really cool. The coloring is really nice as well too. So yeah, I mean, if you don't know this book, I'd say give it a try. Like I said, the artwork is the big draw for me. But I have a feeling the story's going to be really interesting as well too. So yeah, so I wish I could tell you more about that, but I'll be sure to talk about it more once I've kind of picked up the first issues and started from the beginning. So that's that one. That is Clone from Image. And we'll just do this. And next is another one that's not really going to be a shock. But it was nice to catch up on it, and it's Daredevil. So we have number 34, 35, 36, and numero uno. The thing that surprised me the most about this, I loved Rodriguez's art more than I did Samney's. I think it's because of everybody's favorite comic crack detail. Let's have a little talk about a line, shall we? The line weight and everything. I find that Samney's, I don't know, his whole style, even the coloring and things, just looking at the pages side to side, his whole style is definitely more cartoony, and I really like that. And it's not that I dislike Samney's artwork, it's just as I was reading this book, I thought the flow and the layouts of Rodriguez, his issue, worked really well for me. I found I responded to it a lot more, and it's funny because as I was reading it, I didn't really look, because I don't always, especially with a book like this where it seems to kind of trade off between Samney and Rodriguez, I didn't read the front and go, oh, okay, so this is a Rodriguez art issue. I just started reading it, so in the back of my head was like, wow, Samnee, you know, because he does really mimic some of Samnee's style, but I mean, seriously, look at that page. Forget about it. I love that page. I love it. I love the color. I love the way it's laid out. I love his movement within the one kind of overall picture. Amazing stuff. So in the back of my head was Samnee's really knocking it out of the park, and you know, just kind of in the back of my head. And then of course when I finished, it was like, holy shit, that totally wasn't. Because when I opened up the next issue, there was a drastic difference. As for the story, great. You know, I thought the wrap up was really good. It's a really, they did a really nice Daredevil story. They did a great series. I don't even want to talk about the going into the #1. It makes sense. They left it at a place where it makes sense. He's got to leave. He goes back to San Francisco. It makes sense. Sure, you can put a #1 in there, whatever the hell you want. Again, I'm gonna buy it. It's $3.99. I'm buying it. I love Daredevil. Problems with issue #1. I don't think there were any. I think that I enjoyed it just as much as I have the previous stuff. I think it's interesting that he's going to be in a different scenario. I think it's neat how he's got somebody working with him now to help him kind of maneuver through the city. Samnee does his usual really cool work of breaking up pages. This as well. I really like that stuff. Yeah, it's not that his style is, I don't know, it's weird. It's kind of mushier, you know what I mean? It's not as crisp as I remember. And maybe that's because maybe it's because with more exposure to Rodriguez, maybe in the back of my mind, I just have an initial response to Rodriguez's work that works for me a little more as time has gone on. But by no means do I look at this book and go, oh, I hate this, because that's not it at all. I still really love it. It's just a bit of a bigger, cartoonier type of style that he has. So yeah, I mean, we'll see where it goes. Again, I'm not going anywhere. I'm way too in love with Daredevil as a character to even consider not continuing on with it. So it was cool to get the wrap up done though. Very cool. And here we go. Surprised the shit right out of me. Deadly Class. I think I've mentioned it before. I don't really check previews that often. I just don't. I kind of just go into the comic shop, especially when I was going into the comic shop, I was going every single week. Now that I'm behind, I don't think I would go to buy previews, period, especially because I think it would be even more torturous. But I like kind of the discovery of stuff on the shelf and word of mouth, you guys on YouTube saying that, hey, this is a title that's coming out that sounds really cool, or hey, this creator has a new title coming out, or seeing ads in a book. So when I did read about this one, and this is, I guess, part of the problem with previews, they give you the little blurb and they give you the little, sometimes a little sample. The blurb about what this book was about automatically was like, Remender, great, but that sounds awful. The idea sounded awful to me. It sounded like a battle royale kind of situation that just I had no interest in whatsoever. And then I just heard so many good things about it. And again, it's all because of that sale that happened at the store. I never would have picked it up. I probably wouldn't have picked it up. It made it easier to pick up a lot of these books because it was 50% off of everything. And holy shit, do I love it. I love it. Should we even talk about the art and the coloring? Phenomenal. Really, really phenomenal. I know it says it takes place in 1987, and that was another thing that really turned me off. Great, a book that takes place in the 80s. The 80s pretty much sucked. Let's just get that out of the way right now. They were shit. So that didn't appeal to me either. So it had two strikes against it. Took the setting of 1987 and the fact that it's a school for assassins was just really hokey. But somehow he completely knocked my fucking head off with it, because I love it. I fired through the 3 issues, kind of one right after the other, and just couldn't put it down. And it almost made me wish that I would have waited a couple more issues, because once I was done the 3rd issue, I wish I had 3 more to read. Like, look at that page. So nice. It's really, really nice stuff. I love the presentation of the book. Very, very cool. Yeah, and there's something about the style. It's really, really slick. The layouts for the pages are really great, like stuff like this, where you get the little inserts of here's where his bag is, here's where he's positioned, and then you still get the overall look of the landscape that he's existing in. All the sideline characters, and then to be presented with this at the end of the first issue is pretty mind-blowing. Talk about coloring. Forget about it. Remender just attracts some really good talent when it comes to art, and it's really in line with what I'm interested in. So it's nice to find a writer that you really respond to, and then have the art back it up as far as something else stylistically that you really respond to. So I won't go through the other ones, but there's 2 and 3 by now. I'm sure you all know about Deadly Class. So very cool, really excited about that. And then on to one that I thought I would like a lot more than I did. It started off slow, but by the 3rd issue it kind of had me again, was this one called Egos, Earth Galactic Operatives. The thing that attracted me to this again was, I think this one I saw in previews as well too, and saw some of the art and was like, wow, that art looks amazing. The art is my biggest issue with it. It's funny how, like, on first glance, I really like it. But if I sit and really focus on the details, there's things that I don't like about it. But it doesn't stop me from reading the book. And I think one of the things that I don't like about it is the broken up line. So when you're getting into some of the details, let's say, I don't know how well that's going to pick up on his face. If you own this comic, just kind of look at it and you'll see maybe what I mean. It's kind of one line for the shape of like a head or something, but it's broken up in a very odd way. So it gives it, and I can't quite put my finger on what kind of style it gives it. It just gives it a style that I'm not as impressed at. But if I sit back and as I'm reading the story and kind of taking in the whole page, I think it really works. I really like the art style. So it's this weird mix of this kind of initial reaction of, oh, it looks cool, but it's not one that I could sit and see all the details, because I just don't like it as much. For the ships, for example, those kind of clean ovals and squares and with rounded edges and stuff, it's just really basic and blocky and laid out. It doesn't seem like there's as much soul into it, you know what I mean? So I wonder if this is a purely digital created book, purely digitally created book. Because yeah, there's something about it, like when I see some shapes like that, I don't like it at all. So the first 2 issues, like I said, were a little bit of not a struggle, but it didn't really suck me in with like, oh my god, this is brilliant. It was just like, okay, so that's happening. Yeah, okay, so these guys have this issue. Yeah, alright, whatever. So this guy is like the big creature. I thought the main kind of creature, Mass, I think his name was, the villain there. I thought was a very cool idea, like a Galactus type of character. But somehow the 3rd issue kind of sucked me back in, where I'll be picking up some more. I liked the way that it all tied up. I liked the fact that this new group kind of forms themselves against this Pixel, his kind of right-hand woman, kind of decides to form this group, and these are who the people are going to be, and kind of just takes over. I thought that was very cool. I don't quite understand the guy in his underwear. Is he supposed to be the narrator of the story? I don't quite follow what's going on there, nor do I care as much, really. But yes, I thought Mass was a great villain. This third issue really brought it all back for me, where the first two I was kind of... If I was picking it up off the shelves, I probably would have picked up 1 and 2, and after reading number 2, I would have stopped. But because I had all 3, I figured may as well read all 3 of them. So interesting, you know, interesting superhero sci-fi-ish type of book. Not highly recommended, but if you can get it for a cheap deal, I'd say give it a look and see what you think of it. Hawkeye, didn't read it, looked through it, didn't have much of an interest, to be honest. I don't know why that is. I'm gonna go back and try to read it again. I don't know if everybody is kind of feeling this way about this book. There's a kind of level of I've had enough, you know, which is, it's so sad to say that out loud, because I've seen people say that about this book even a few issues ago, and I was disappointed to hear it. But I'm kind of at that point now too, that I'm kind of done with it, you know. I don't get it, and it's the first thing on my pile to read, you know, where it was for quite a long time. Hawkeye, when it came out, it was the one that as soon as I walked in the door at home, I would open it up and read it right away. Yeah, so I mean, I started reading it, I read like the first 2 pages, and then I just started flipping through and looking, and my response was kind of like, more of the same. Sorry about that awkward cut there. I was talking about Pretty Deadly and the camera cut out for some reason. I don't know why that is. So I'm just kind of start again. So Pretty Deadly, 3 and 4 and number 5. So those 3 issues. It was a book that after issue number 2, I was going to walk away from. I really liked issue number 1. I thought it was a very strong opening. It was very unique. The artwork by Emma Rios, beautiful stuff, and to this day, all of the issues, the artwork is still top notch. It's unreal. And I love it so much. I respond to it so much. The story in issue number 2 left something lacking. I found I didn't quite know what the hell was going on, and it became more of a frustrating read because it was confusing and convoluted to my mind, and at the end of the day then I didn't really care about what was going on. So it took me a bit to kind of get a handle on that, so I wasn't going to pick it up at all, but because of the 50% off sale, I figured I'll get them all. And I'm glad that I did. I mean, I still feel similar to the story, but I think I've accepted a lot of things. I've accepted the fact that the story isn't going to be what I had wanted it to be. It's going to be its own thing, and what it is in kind of one word, it's very poetic. There's a lot of folktale elements in it, so it's this very poetic kind of world that's mixed with folktale elements and told in a very stylistic kind of way. And that type of thing just doesn't work as well for me. In this setting, I mean, it's so strange. It's a hard book to talk about. It's a really difficult book to talk about. Because I guess because I don't really know, you know, it's so strange for me to hear myself say this, because usually it's really easy for me to do this kind of thing, take myself out of a box and have the ability to put myself in a world that somebody's created and be very accepting of what they're trying to get across. But for some reason, whatever it is in this, I can't quite get there. I don't know if it's because it's really wordy and I'm having trouble following along, or what it is. I really can't put my finger on it. It's probably going to be one of those books that, however far they go with it, I'm going to keep picking it up now. From this point on, I'm going to give it, I want to give it a full shot and follow the story all the way through. I think it's going to be one of those that I revisit in the future and read it again and have a better understanding and I'll sit better with it, and I'll probably end up enjoying it quite a bit. But right now I find it a little confusing. I don't really understand what the point of the story is. I don't understand what the point of the folk tale is. I don't understand if there's any sort of lessons to be learned, or if there's not any or if there's not any lessons to be learned at all, or what kind of moral is in play here. I don't really know, and so I find I don't have a footing in anything that makes it hard to understand and accept. Anyway, that said, the artwork is stunningly beautiful, and that's one of the main reasons I wanted to keep picking it up. I won't bother going through and showing you panels. I'm sure everybody knows about Pretty Deadly. So that's my deal with Pretty Deadly. The Manhattan Projects, this is number 17, so I believe, what does that say, January, so I'm still a few issues behind on this one, unless they've taken a hiatus as well. More of the same insanity, and as I said in a video a long while back, once I accepted, again, it's kind of on par with that, once I accepted the world and accepted the fact that they may be real people, but it's not based on any real experiments or any sort of autobiographical elements, really. It's a crazy, insane, fun book. I really, really like it. I like it quite a lot. I love the coloring in it. I really like the design element overall on the whole thing, but I love the coloring. And yeah, I mean, what can I say? Shit is hitting the fan. It's just a fun read, because it's just batshit crazy, you know. It's a really, really enjoyable book. Another one that I can easily see myself reading and rereading. The next one that has had some mixed reviews the later that it's gone, I'm not finished it yet. This is one that I got in, some of these were ones that I had in my holds box. They're not all from the sale at Galaxy Comics, and like I'd said before, I want to honor the pull list at Galaxy and buy the ones from them, even though I can find them on sale. I don't feel obligated. I want to do it. Like, I want to do it. I feel a bit bad about leaving them hanging with all these books, so I want to make sure that I buy them. So I haven't finished the series yet, so this is Trillium number 5. I really, really liked this issue. I liked the way it read. I liked, again, I mean, it's one of those, you know, I think there's been a lot of hang-up, and again, I haven't finished the series, so I don't know, so I'll find out as I'm reading it. I think there's been a lot of hang-up with this whole point of Lemire himself saying that it may be a sci-fi world, but at the bottom, at the end of the day, it's a love story. There might be a little too much in that, because then it still has your expectations. So he doesn't want you to have these expectations of it being a standard science fiction story, so you're aware of that, but then he wants you to have these expectations, and he creates these expectations that it's supposed to be some sort of love story. I liked the way this one read, going through the whole top part of the whole book, and then when you get to the end, flipping it all over and then reading the story backwards to the front. I thought that worked really well. It felt like I got more comic out of it, even though it's the same number of pages. But I don't know if if we counted the panels in it and compared it to another book. I have a feeling this one might come out a little ahead. So it does feel like you get more of a story. I'm still interested in it. I'm not as blown away as I was at first, but I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that I'm going to finish the series. I like his style. I really like his style of artwork. I do enjoy his style of storytelling. I'm nervous about reading the final issues, or issue. I can't remember if it was 6 or 8. I can't remember. I am nervous though, because based on what I've heard a couple of people say, and the disappointment that they felt at the end. But very curious. Another surprising one, this is the final one that I'll talk about, is Undertow. Didn't know anything about it. I was very confused in the first issue for the most part, until I realized where the world, and it's funny because even though they kind of flat out say it at one point, it still didn't 100% register with me right away as to when this was supposed to take place. And it's basically the lost city of Atlantis, when they were still kind of in full swing and full bloom, competing basically for dominance and trying to become land dwellers, or some of them trying to move towards being on the land, even though there's the humans who are very still caveman and Neanderthals. At one point in this first issue right here, the Atlanteans go to the surface, or go to see the humans, and one of them is commenting on, wow, they're advancing, they're starting to use tools, you know, we have a little bit of a challenge ahead of us, you know, we've got to get to the land. I like the idea, so I'm gonna stick with it. I think it's a pretty cool book. It's a very, very interesting idea for a story. Again, the artwork I think is beautiful, the coloring is beautiful. And yeah, based on the sale is the reason why I picked it up. I love the coloring. What I will say though is there's times where it gets a little muddled. I think it might have been more so in issue number 2. Let's see if I can find an example for you. Sorry, just bear with me. And I don't know if, I think it's partially due to the coloring, it's partially due to just the art style itself isn't, it's not highly detailed, it's very stylish, but there was a couple of points where I had to kind of look at the page very closely, or the panels very closely, to really see what the hell it was that I was looking at, what was going on. Some of these pages is a little bit of an example in here when they're fighting this giant crab type creature. I found a couple of the panels hard to decipher as far as what I was looking at, what part of the crab I was looking at. And then here so as well, as they get down further into the depths of the water, obviously it becomes darker and things, but I think there's other ways that you could portray that. Because again, I just found myself a little confused as to what I was looking at. And then the design of the characters as well. This one specifically, the guy with what's a fin on his back, it wasn't evident to me at first what I was looking at. And then it also wasn't evident, you know, that even on characters like her, she has one as well. I didn't quite notice them, and then when I did notice them, it took me a second to figure out what the hell it was, and this sort of thing. So there's definitely a couple of issues, but sorry, little Rain Man there for you. I do really like it, and stuff like this blows me away too. Going from a page like this to a page like that really stands out, as far as like we're now going to stray a little bit from our main story, and I believe this was a flashback. Super cool, very stylish, cool looking book. And at the end of number 2, they're about to be possibly attacked because they're surrounded by humans. So I think that one's going to be an amazing read. We'll see where it goes. I do like the premise though, and as David Letterman always says, if you buy the premise, you buy the bit. So I'm down with the premise. We'll see how I enjoy the rest of the bit. something I just wanted to show, especially for like La Raza and people and Reader 1717. I picked up book 1 of Lazarus. I haven't read it yet, but it's like I said, I've got a few more issues, single issues to read, and then I'm going to dive right into this one. Very excited about it. I've leafed through it a few times, and based on what people are saying, especially the 2 I mentioned already, I'm curious. I remember when the first issue came out and I looked through it and I didn't really think it would be much of anything, so I passed it up because I do like Greg Rucka as a writer as well. So yeah, it's gonna be cool, I think. So, and this was also from my comic shop too, from Galaxy. So yeah, there we go. That's the stack of reviews for you. Thanks very much for watching, and like I said, I probably won't, I haven't really had time to watch videos and comment, period. I think at this hotel I'm going to be staying at in Estevan, there's Wi-Fi and stuff, so, but I'm sharing a room with somebody, unfortunately, so I don't know if I'm going to have as much kind of downtime to sit and watch YouTube and that sort of thing. And based on what I've heard already about the job, it sounds like it's going to be pretty much go for 9.5 hours a day. And I'll probably be pretty wiped out by the end of it. It's a lot of heavy physical labor, so yeah, so I probably won't see any of you or be around to even see messages or comments or anything for a little while, for probably a month. So I hope everybody's okay, and I will definitely talk to you when I get back. Yeah, take it easy, everybody. Enjoy your comics.
Hey, y'all are thinking speaking. Hey, Grip, 20 years ago gave rappers a grip teacher. I flow like Chuck Norris, I pick it up on the cars. Me and my buddy Lamont in the low post like horse. Parks full of ants, I'm over the field with Shaq, I rap, I pack bags. Boss clothes, boss shoes. Hey, forget Shaq on them. Boss clothes. Forget Shaq on them. Boss clothes. What'd you say about a shirt? Boss clothes. Rip tips. Yeah. Rip sandwiches.